Minimum order quantities. When it comes to the supplement industry, what kind of minimum order quantities are you dealing with when you're entering the space for the first time as a business? My name is Christian Baker. I am the founder and CEO of Profound Formulas. We make premium dietary supplements for companies selling in the USA. And today we're going to talk about what kind of minimums you have to deal with when making a product like that. Now, there's many different ways to skin it. If you've come from another industry, you might have expectations that are higher or lower. So keep in mind when it comes to supplements, you're going to be dealing with different factors that you've probably never dealt before. But maybe you'll get lucky and it's lower than another industry you might be used to. Now, we're going to work through from smallest to highest minimum order quantities and the kind of strengths and weaknesses involved. So the easiest way to get the lowest amount of product that you have to order to test something is to do something very boring, which is to do a private label or white label product. So a manufacturer already has something in stock, or they already have something lined up to make that they already make for other people, and they can make it for you too, and you put your label on it and you sell it. When dealing with private label / white label, you can be lucky enough to get minimum order quantities as low as 500, maybe even lower sometimes, depending on the product. The obvious weakness is that it's a generic product that other people are already selling. Even if you're great at marketing and you can sell a few of them, the most money in this industry comes from subscriptions. So good luck trying to get someone to keep subscribing to your product if it is just something generic that can go elsewhere. But it's not a bad idea to get people in the door if you've got something better to sell them afterwards. Strength, obviously, low minimum order quantity, streamlined cost, and fast. So when making something like this, you can typically get it as fast as 4 weeks or less, which is really fast for this industry because custom products typically take 12 weeks or more, sometimes much more if you're dealing with sampling, taste testing, testing your packaging, things like that. So that's number one, private label / white label. Number two is a custom formula, so something that's completely yours. So someone like me or another expert or even just a manufacturer will help you make a formula that is completely customized, that is just yours. It's your intellectual property. It's your new thing you're bringing to the market. And this, if you choose to make something that goes into a capsule, you're likely to get a lower minimum order quantity versus other formats, which we're going to cover after this as well. Now, depending on the ingredients you're using and what we're trying to do here, you may be able to get a minimum order quantity as low as 2,000 units if you're very lucky and working with someone that likes you. But usually it's going to be more like 2,500 to 3,000, but almost definitely less than 3,000 units of your custom capsule formula. The next is powder. Powder also is typically pretty modest, like capsules, but it does come with a few more complications. It's harder to keep stable. You've got to factor in taste testing, flavoring, sweetening, all those things. Some manufacturers are totally dedicated to powders and they can do it reasonably streamlined, and you will get lucky and get closer to that 2,000 to 2,500 minimum order quantity that you might be able to get with capsules, but usually going to be having at least 3,000, if not more like 4,000 or more units if you're going with the powder. And that's a custom powder made just for you. Fourth is stick packs. So stick packs are just a little stick, which when you rip it open has your powder inside. So it's every single serving is individually wrapped rather than say a tub or a pouch where you can scoop the powder out. Stick packs require more complicated machinery as well as more packaging and different kinds of packaging, and they tend to come with higher minimum order quantities. So rather than a powder in a pouch with a scoop, which you might be able to get for as low as 3,000 units, with a stick pack, you're typically going to be looking at least 4 or 5 or even in some cases 6,000 or 7,000 units if you want to get it done well. And when I say a unit, I mean a unit of 30 sticks, so a 1 month supply, because many manufacturers are going to quote you in total stick packs. So they'll say you need to make 150,000, 300,000, 500,000. So you just divide that number by 30, and that's what's going to happen from there to get that final number. And fifth and finally, the highest minimum order quantities you're going to face often comes with something like ready to drink, the format, so like a can or a bottle where something is already in a liquid. Not necessarily, because some manufacturers are dedicated to making ready to drink formulas and they can get you something more reasonable, but oftentimes it does come with high minimum order quantities because it's quite specialist machinery. It gets measured in, liters or gallons rather than say, packets or units. So there's a typical minimum amount of liquid needed to actually run these machines, which is a factor. And then minimum order quantities go up even higher for something very custom. So let's say a custom delivery format, like a super sexy capsule that you can see through and has all these great little, individual beads on the inside, or you're looking for an unusual ingredient that the manufacturer has to order just for you, or you're trying to use really cool and unique packaging. You typically have to commit to a minimum amount of certain types of packaging, not just the product itself. So these things can run you up as many as like 8, 9, 10,000 units for a minimum order, 15, 20,000. So this is something I wouldn't really do as your first product, unless you've got an incredibly good database who really, really loves everything you do, and you've got a good chance of selling a whole bunch of these within your first few months, because it's not fun to have a bunch of stock sitting in a warehouse that you can't sell. So I wouldn't recommend something super custom until you've either got, like I said before, a warm database who loves you, or existing supplements in other formats that people are already buying, so you can sell them this new thing. Or you've just got a gigantic amount of money and you're super confident in your idea and you're willing to take a shot, but be warned. So these are the kind of minimum order quantities, or MOQs, you're going to face when dealing with these 5 kinds of formats. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you on the next video.